So again, welcome to You Exponentially. We're going to actually call it Exponentially You. Life purposely, life passionately, and on purpose with clarity and commitment. I'm Aly Pain. I am a certified coach. I work with people on their relationship with self and relationship with others. So this is my very first BLAB, and I'm so glad that you are joining me. So as I mentioned today, I want to talk about purpose. And it's something really foundational that I talk with people and my clients, and when I'm doing keynotes actually often, because it really is the foundation for how we start the rest of our work, what we build the rest of our work on. And it's something that we can come back to as one of the simplest building blocks to happiness, I think. And yet purpose, the whole concept of life purpose, I think is really misunderstood. And it can get enormously frustrating for people out there who have been really looking into this and really trying their best to delve into it and read lots of books and find out things, and are so sick and tired of being asked, what's your life purpose? What's your life purpose? And it really can be extremely annoying and frustrating if you have tried and you don't understand it. So I'm going to first start with a little bit of, I call it a grounding, sort of some context around what life purpose is, in my opinion, and in my work, that frame I find helps clarify it for people just to start. Okay, so life purpose is the contribution that you are here to make. That's it. It is the contribution that you are here to make that only you can make. There is no one else in the world like you, and there is no one else who is going to make this contribution the way that you are. So that's the fundamental explanation of life purpose that I can give you. Now, let's unravel that a little bit further so that we can actually do something with it. Purpose occurs in the brain at a level below language. Ha ha, that's the irony. Yes, we're attempting to put language around something that occurs at a level below language in the brain. So purpose is that kind of spiritual, it actually is a spiritual concept that occurs when, do you know when you just look at something or someone, or you have one of those moments where all of a sudden you're overwhelmed by emotion, even if don't consider yourself a real emotional person, and brought to tears. Actually, like tears start flowing, and you can feel the flush coming, and then your face gets really warm, and then the tears start coming, and yet there seems to be so little explanation for the why, but here you are in this moment having this really spiritual connection to something. So what that is similar to, how on a guitar, when we tune a guitar, that if you strum if you strum one of the strings, if it is exactly tuned, it will create a vibration in the next one because it's resonating. So resonating is a bit of a musical term. So what has happened for you in that moment when you're, overwhelmed by emotion and really feeling taken over by something, something that might feel really freaky and uncontrollable. You're not sure what it is. Something has struck a chord with you at a spiritual level that has created a particular resonance. So when we work with purpose, my experience is with all of my clients, every time I've done this, is when we hit that chord, infallibly, there's the same experience. There is an overwhelming flush. There's generally silence and instant emotion. Yes, even from corporate CEOs wearing suits. Because when we find people's purpose, when we can articulate that essence of any one person at such a fundamental level, I don't think there's any more powerful way in this world to truly be seen, to feel seen. And when it's named, So again, purpose lives at a level below language in the brain. But when we can actually put some human limited language, however that is, around it so that the rest of our brain can grab hold of it, it is so resonant, it just strums a chord right through the center of us. So again, let's unfold this purpose thing a little bit more. I'm sure lots of you who are curious about life purpose have done some of your own work on it. There's lots of great books and tools and amazing thought leaders all talking about life purpose. And I hope that it has helped you. And if not, it's okay. Take a breath. It's okay. Don't let this be the concept that turns you off of all other self-development or all other self-improvement, because you're so frustrated with trying to get this one concept. Don't let that happen to you. Really, purpose, again, it is your unique contribution to this world. So a lot of people, when I say, what is your purpose? What do you think your purpose is? I get a lot of answers that are saying to be happy. My purpose is to be happy. Well, yes, I get that. That's all of our purposes. In fact, when we live on purpose and passionately, we generally are happy. It's very difficult to not be happy. So I don't accept those. So when people say their purpose is to be happy or fulfilled, that is the outcome of living on purpose. That is a byproduct of what happens when you live on purpose. That's not your purpose. Everybody is going to be happy and fulfilled when they live their purpose, but that's not it. So, a couple rules I have about purpose. Purpose is 7 words or less. Now, for those of you who just love your words and you speak in paragraphs, I know that was a catatonic moment. So, take some deep breaths and come back. It's okay. When we attempt to wrap too many words around the purpose statement and the concept of purpose, we inevitably and very quickly get out of the spiritual expression, the unique spiritual expression of who we are. And we go straight up, sort of from that heart to head concept. We go straight up from here and then we just start talking around it. And there's no impact there. It's all intellectual at that point. It's even emotional. That's great. But because it lives at a level below language, the lesser the number of words, the more powerful generally it is. And I'm going to tell you, even though my rule of thumb is 7 words or less, I have never worked with anyone over the last 10 years, and I do this with all of my clients, who has a life purpose statement that is more than 4 words. This many. 4 words. That's all. It is so succinct that 3-word purposes are actually quite common. 4, again, being a maximum. So let's go again to the concept of that this is your contribution. So it's an outward-facing language. When I talk to people about purpose, a lot of them would say, well, my purpose is to be happy and be fulfilled as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a mother, as a sister, as a blah, 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 enjoying all the best things of life while being healthy and making lots of money. No, no, no. It sounds awesome, doesn't it? Purpose statements can really easily become the wish list, the wish paragraph of who we think we should be at our best self, right? Like out there somewhere. Well, I'm not saying that all of those things aren't possible. Absolutely. In fact, I want all of those things for you. And I believe that they will come when you live your purpose. Those are all outcomes and byproducts of when you live your purpose. So this is a contribution statement. Purpose is, what are you here to give, and what is it that only you can give in the way that you do. It is, here's another way to describe it for life purpose. When you are in the Zen moments of your life, when you are in the moments of your life that perhaps take your breath away, or have those moments that really just something struck a chord in you and you feel so overwhelmed and just brought to tears and no real idea of why. What is it that's going on in those Zen moments, those moments that you've lost track of time, those things that you find so richly fulfilling? What is going on in those moments? Because that's about the you, what's going on for me in those moments. And once we can unravel that a little bit more, then I would turn and say, and what is going on around you? What are the people around you experiencing when you are at that best place? People have probably given this to you as feedback. It's quite common for in my work with clients to hone in on this purpose statement with them, and then say, people have told me, maybe not in those exact words, okay, but people have actually fed that back to them on quite a few occasions throughout their lifetime, but not at a consistent enough rate that they would have clicked on it. But having had that statement now very present in their mind, they say, oh my gosh, I have actually had people say that to me. Okay, so that's when you know you're absolutely being at your best. So purpose isn't about what you are here to experience. It's not about what you are here to gain from the world and experience in the world. That's actually not it. Purpose is contribution, so it is others facing. It's what are you here to do for others that only you can do. So you have to go back to those Zen moments in your life, to all of the things. And, you know, people say, God, do we have to go all the way back to childhood? What are you, a psychologist? I got to go back to my inner child now, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not talking about going back to your childhood for the sake of digging stuff up. I'm saying, what is it that you love to do as a child? Because generally speaking, as children, we have a lot less barriers in our mind and complications and stories and stuff and a bunch of crap in there that's really messing stuff up for us. So when we go back and look at the kind of things that we pursued, we're very drawn to, even though we didn't know why, things that we just naturally did, even if we didn't have to think about it. Our happiest moments as a child, it often helps to enormously inform our life purpose as we lay some adult context, adult lenses over that now. So for me, I'm going to tell you about my purpose. I don't do this very often, but I hear like it's me and my webcam and my few people who are watching. So yay! Can I get a hands up? Here we go. I remember when I was working on my life purpose, and I had a really difficult time with this 7 words or less thing, thinking, are you kidding? Are you kidding? And it's okay if it starts as more than 7 words. It's okay. Start it as a sentence if you want. And then we start to unravel from there. So for me, I thought it was about bringing, joy and lightness and happiness. I feel like a little bit, sometimes in my life, I've been sort of the positivity princess, because I so love and appreciate when people are, not when they're happy for the sake of being happy. I mean, that's just a bunch of fake falsities. I don't need that. But when they are truly happy and they feel unencumbered. So if I could help somebody to feel lighter or happier, then that really was what I loved. I've been doing that since elementary school, actually, grade 1, right from grade 1. I loved helping other kids. I was fortunate. I was a gifted child in school, so it didn't help me socially. Let me just tell you that much for free. But anyway, I had my own reader and my own math book, and so I had more time, and I was often asked to help some of the other kids. And it was one of my favorite things, Because what I found was, even at that age, I had a way of taking what I already knew somehow inherently. I was very fortunate. And articulating it and explaining it in a way that in super simple terms that people could get easily. And watching my friends, my fellow students, watching their eyes light up and the sense of confidence and the empowerment that came to them, so rich for me that I continued to pursue any opportunity I could to do that. And I was fortunate to do it a lot through school. And I had sort of coach-like roles throughout work, but there wasn't a word for coach then. Who knew what that was? So I thought I was supposed to be a human resource professional. So for 5 years, every spring, I would look up human resource degrees, and I would get to sort of, April, May cutoff to where you had to enroll and pay your, thousands of dollars or whatever at a university. And I'd be going to click the button and be like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because there was just something in me that said, that's not it. And as I continued to look into this whole life purpose for myself, I really had to ask myself, well, it's not actually about making people happy. Making people happy? No, I think that's a byproduct of when I do live my purpose and I live it passionately. Yes, people are going to be happy. I started to actually dig deeper. When I was part of empowering people, when I was part of either educating them, so in school helping, when I was part of empowering people, I love to encourage people. I love to lift people up. And again, not fake, just really have strong intuition. So just telling people that, which I think that their spirit really needed to hear, and saying those things, I thought, well, maybe it's about empowering people. I want to empower people. Yes. Well, unraveled that a little bit further. And actually, people felt empowered when I lived my purpose. So that was a byproduct of my purpose. What it came down to for me was setting people free. That's my purpose. That is my personal purpose. Setting people free. When I am setting them free, either by simply helping them with a task, I'll never forget when my grandmother was in the end stages of her life and she was in a care home. And I remembered walking into that care home and there would be individuals in the hallway, and there was one woman with a wheelchair, and for whatever reason, she didn't have use of her arms, fine motor skills, and she had a glass of water and she had one of those like bendy straws, and she couldn't quite reach the straw. And I instantly ran to her to help her with that straw and give her that straw. And seeing my grandmother in the care home and propping her up with pillows and just loving on her, and no, it doesn't, I'm not saying I was like the granddaughter of all granddaughters. And it was about setting people free. How can I in this moment alleviate someone's strife, challenge, and then more into becoming a coach as a career? How can I long-term set these people free from limiting beliefs and stories that have them tied down, or traumas or situations? And I don't mean into the psychological world. I'm not a psychologist, but particular incidences that are unresolved for them in their life that had them so held back. And when I can help people be free from that and set them free, they experience empowerment, they experience greater confidence, and they experience remarkable results because of me when I live my purpose. Oh, okay, so they don't experience the results just because of me, not like that, but because when I live my purpose, that's the feedback I get, that they go on and do these things because I help set them free. Then they are free to go live their purpose, freer to go live their purpose. So that's my life purpose. And that's what I'm talking about, how fundamental the concept of purpose, life purpose is. It's not flowery. It's not really intellectual. It's not a whole bunch of words or a big paragraph or your wish your wish list for your life. Purpose is something you were born with. You have always been doing it. You are doing it right now. That's right. You were born with it. You've always been doing it. You're doing it right now. You are always doing your purpose. The juicy challenge for us as human beings, I think, is to actually delve into articulating it, finding out what it is, so that I can consciously get up every single day and live it even more constructively. Yes, because here's the catch. Purpose isn't all flowery and nice. It sounds like it, setting people free, right? Ooh, that sounds great. Well, you see, when we are in the moments in our lives when we're least conscious about our life purpose, it will get us in the most trouble because we're never not doing it, right? As I said, we're always doing it. So the times in my life where I have gotten into the most trouble and created the most havoc for myself was when I was setting people free from, so I call it the dark side, like get on your Darth Vader here. So when I was setting people free at the expense of myself, which looked a lot like rescuing, right? In order to be a rescuer, I need to see a victim and I run in and whoa, swoop in and oh, look, I rescued them. Yeah, I definitely recovered rescuer. Hello, my name is Aly. I'm a recovered rescuer. So for any of those of you who want to hands up for there, show me a little hands up. So that's when purpose got me into the most trouble, was when I was using it as a rescuing tendency because I wasn't clear on what it was. I knew I loved helping people, but I didn't get the constructive, the number one way that it truly adds value. And it also gets me into trouble when I'm, as I said, but when I'm also setting other people free before myself to the degree that I am at burnout. So I hope you can imagine, as a coach, I spend a lot of very intimate time in conversation with people. And it can be really easy as an empath to take on a lot of their stuff. And I suppose that's a version of rescuing as well. That is really when I get into the most trouble, is when I'm setting people free, but I'm doing it to where, financially, time, resource, otherwise, I'm actually depleting myself. So I have less to give. I'm not giving in the most constructive way because I'm not holding them as completely able. I absolutely, every day I want to get up and help set people free, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go do it for you. Sorry, if that's the coach you were looking for. I'm not her. I don't do it with my kids. I don't do it with it. No, I want to help set you free, but it's sort of like that, give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I want to set you free because I want you to learn how to fish in the way that works for you, in a way that looks just perfect for you, feels, and it creates the best experience that you can have of your entire life. So setting people free as my purpose, again, you're always doing it all the time, whether you're doing it constructively or destructively. However that looks, there is no purpose statement that can't be done destructively. Trust me. There's a dark and a light side to everything. That's how it works. So the dark side of purpose is I go running around trying to set people free and I forget about my own self-care, or I go back on top of that, I guess I go back into like sort of a rescuer victim tendency, which is how I used to play it. And honestly, I will tell you quite honestly, that comes a lot from, it's a bit like an arrogant belief, because actually behind arrogance is a fear of not being good enough. It's a true lack of self-confidence. So a way of having myself feel better is if I go rescue people, then, so it's an arrogant kind of ego-driven thing too that can happen when purpose goes off the rails. It goes a little bit to the dark side. The other thing about purpose, because you're always doing it, you've always done it, you will always be doing it, is when it is, again, when it's conscious, I can get up every day and say, how am I going to go do that even more? Because as I named this, life passionately on purpose, all of my life passions are done in a form. So let me go back for a minute. Purpose is formless. Purpose has no form because it's in a level of the brain where there's no language. There isn't even purple cows flying over the moon. There's no form at all. So that's why we can do the 7 words or less. And it's not about family, and it's not about, there is no form. It's completely formless. Setting people free. Okay, well, I could probably think of 10 million ways that I could go do that constructively. Yes, that's purpose. We'll talk a lot of the other things on other blabs about how we build on that, but purpose has no form. It is simply at the bare bones, fundamental level, what other people are experiencing when I am on purpose. What is the fundamental experience that they are having? So yes, you're doing purpose all the time. It can be destructive and constructive. Usually it's the difference between whether we're living it consciously or unconsciously, and the amount of time that I'm spending it constructively usually is the amount of time I'm a lot more conscious about it. Now, the other thing I say about purpose is that purpose is the most powerful when I turn it on myself. You say, well, that doesn't make any sense at all, Aly, because you've just spent this entire first half of your blab saying how it's about contribution and it's about the thing I'm here to do and contribute to other people, and only I can do it. So what does that got to do with it turning on me? Okay, well, yes, you're right. Purpose is our greatest contribution in this world, articulated in a way that resonates with us at a spiritual level. And when I am at my most constructive level, I'm not only finding ways to live my purpose more constructively every day, so I create an even greater impact for those people around me and do that. Simultaneously, I need to turn it here and be setting myself free. Because the freer I feel, then the more I feel like I have to give. So it's like fill my cup, go give my cup. Fill my cup, give my cup, right? So that's why purpose is the people who I find actually have a good handle on purpose and know it, and then can't figure out why they feel so drained and exhausted and just depleted and sad and actually close to or well down the path of resentment, is because they've only ever turned it on other people. They've only ever been doing their contribution, and they've completely 100% forgotten that their purpose is most powerful when it's turned on ourselves, because that is what gives us the fuel to then go and give more. So when I am taking time to set myself free, I have so much more to give. I have so much more enthusiasm and health and all those other byproducts. So I need to have done the work to figure out what does setting me free even look like. And I'm grateful that I have, and I'm always unraveling new ways. And again, we'll talk about that on lots of future blabs, but just to name a few, I'm a very kinesthetic person. So that means in my physical body. So body movement is very, very important to me. So when I'm physically active for an hour a day, it could be dancing like a crazy person at a Zumba class. It could be all intense and like high interval training in my basement. I don't know, whatever. That is setting myself free. When I do that, I feel enormously better. When I keep my word, when I, keep moving and pursuing things that I'm passionate about, instead of putting myself on the back burner, say behind my husband or my kids, which a lot of women do, who run households and families tend to put themselves on the back burner. I have a lot less to give. And when I don't fill this cup, I have less out there, and I'm more likely to go and then do my purpose destructively. So it's really, really important that we remember that purpose is most powerful when we turn it on ourselves, because when we do that, we're more likely to go out and be far more constructive So it's a simultaneously, it's an and thing. It's not an or. I'm not just doing it here or just doing it for you. This is about it being a robust, equation, a balance of how often I do that for myself so that I can do it even more often for you. So purpose is about our contribution to the world. It is something that you were born doing, you've always been doing, and you will still continue to do it. The more conscious you are of it, the better everyone else will feel around you when you're doing it, and the more you're actually going to get out of it. Purpose lives at a spiritual level in the brain, which is a level below language, which is why purpose statements generally are 3 to 4 words, 7 words max. Purpose has no form. It is a spiritual level thing. There is no form on it. It starts with an ing word, so it's an active tense. So I said setting people free is my purpose. So the first word, so setting, it's an active verb tense, as in which reaffirms in my conscious and unconscious brain that I'm doing this all the time. I'm doing it right now, setting people free. Right here, right now, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for you, I hope. You're getting something out of it. I'm going to do it anyway. And then a few words after, whatever. So the active tense verb first, okay, that's word number 1. You're not likely to have more than 2 or 3 words after that when you really get down to what it is that people are experiencing around you when you are at your fundamental essence, your best, your very best, those Zen moments. That's purpose. Purpose has a dark side and a light side. Purpose can drag you down a hill and you think, what? I'm living on purpose. How is this even possible? Well, it's because it's usually unconscious and can have some pretty funky prices that we pay when we do that. And we need to turn it on ourselves. When we turn our purpose on ourselves, we fill our cup so much more, so we have even more to give. So that's some of the fundamentals of purpose. And people get all up in a knot with me and say, what do you mean it's only 7 words or less? That's ridiculous. I can't do that. Well, yeah, it just takes some unraveling. And in my experience of doing that, 99% of the time, I can do this within 1 hour with people. And I know there's a few of you listening who that has happened. So when we get to your purpose, when we unravel what it is that you were doing at those moments of Zen and you were doing in those happiest moments of your life, all the way back to childhood, and then we start there, and then we turn it to others focused and start to ask, what were the people around us feeling? What was the fundamental experience they were having? And we get an answer and we say, well, was that the actual experience they were having? Or was that the byproduct of me living? So we got to keep kind of unraveling and unraveling. The words come out either from my clients or from I say, I have a hunch on something and put it out. It's like, it's like a truth bomb or a silent bomb has dropped that just reverberates in the room and it's silent. And then generally my client or myself have this sort of tear moment where that ding, the strum of that string at the spiritual level just got it. And it resonates in the room and brings emotion. And yes, like I said, even CEOs in business suits behind closed doors. There's just something that is so enormously powerful about being seen at our essence, at the core level of why we're here. Really, really powerful. So there's lots of great books on purpose as well. Some of you may have read them. Rick Warren's really, I think, was the first one that focused purely on life purpose. The Purpose-Driven Life is his book. For perhaps written from one of the most spiritual contexts, that book, because it came out, decades ago, became a point of study for a number of spiritual organizations to really support people to find their life purpose. I love Rick Warren. I think he's a great guy. I found that book a little bit challenging, honestly, to get my head around, to work through for purpose. Then again, I'm a verbal processor, just in case you didn't notice. So it's one of the reasons why I love talking. And so I spent a decade in personal development programs myself. I was a participant, I was an assistant, I trained to run the programs, to facilitate and lead the programs. And I did that almost once a month or once every 2 months for 10 years. So I was really immersed in, I'm going to say inundated, but that sounds like a negative term. I was very willfully immersed in this kind of conversation, every couple months through some really formative years, just right before I got married until, having kids. Every month, these kind of conversations. And I think by exposing myself to that on a really regular basis, and being expected to be part of small groups, chat groups within the programs, I was able to talk it out, which worked better for me than reading. Now, having done the work and now being a certified coach and doing this work with other people as well as with organizations, because yes, even your business needs a purpose. Businesses are not in business to make money. Can I just say that right now? I think there's not a business I've worked in when I go to work with corporate teams and I say, well, what's your purpose? And they say, to make money. Yes. No, you make money because you do your purpose. The making money is a function of the business. If you're not making money, well, then I guess you're a charity, and even charities, you better be making something to give back, to donate, do something with. Money is just a function of the business. It's not the purpose. Businesses only exist to fulfill a purpose. And for all of those really practical people out there, it's okay if this is a bit of a headbender and you vehemently disagree. Purpose lives in businesses. Businesses occur because at a spiritual level, there was a need. There was something within a group of people, sometimes one person as an entrepreneur, that was missing. And it started at a spiritual level even before you had that wild idea in your shower and you started your own business. Purpose lives in business too. And it's not to make money. So as an entrepreneur, as a successful entrepreneur for the last 10 years, my business purpose is connecting people to purpose. I believe if that's what I do as a business person for the rest of my life, I will have created the greatest impact possible in my lifetime. As a business, that's what I will have done, connecting people to purpose. So again, connecting, it's an active tense verb, which starts the statement. It's 4 words, and it is very aligned with my personal purpose. Because I'm an entrepreneur, my business is my company. It's easy to say, well, they're one and the same, but really they're not. My business is a separate entity that does overlap with me as a person. So there are similarities in the purpose, but they're not the same. So purpose is something that we need to be really in touch with. Now, again, after I did this work, I was fortunate enough to connect with Simon Sinek, and not personally, no, I have not met him, but his TED Talks, Simon Sinek's TED Talks, and then his books as well. And I think in my experience, he has done one of the clearest ways of describing the why, which is often purpose is called, what's your why? What's the why, but why? And he has done a really great job of putting and articulating some context around it so that I think it's easier for people to grasp than some of the psychological books, which all are getting to the same point, but I think get a little bit difficult to understand. I'm all about keep it simple. Just keep it simple. so that everybody can understand it and grab hold of it as fast as possible. So if you haven't watched some of the Simon Sinek talks, I strongly recommend that you do. They're fabulous. His first one, I believe, was in 2011 in Portland, and it is labeled on YouTube if you look it up. The golden circle, I believe, and then it starts with why, and then he did another one, I think in 2013 or 14, and it was about what motivates people. And again, the way he describes those, I think, are a lot easier to grasp than some of the original texts that were written 10, 15 years ago, attempting to support people to really figure out what their purpose was. And unfortunately, what happens is that leads people to a point of real frustration. There are as many of you out there, I'm sure millions more than I can count, who are so frustrated with being asked, what's your why? But what's your why? Because it's a real catch term right now, and it's really, the world, I think, is in a place where we're starting to ask a lot of questions like this. And if it's something that you've really tried to find and worked hard at not finding it, can be really, really, really frustrating. And you've taken all these courses and spent all this money. And it's okay. I want to let you know, good on you for pursuing something that is so meaningful in this world, and well done for putting yourself and your own personal growth, your investment in yourself, as such a high priority. There are no knocks against you for that. None at all. You be proud of that, and no learning is ever lost. So if you haven't found your life purpose yet, I hope that this BLAB is going to help you to put a little simpler context, not maybe more, but simpler context around what life purpose is. It's not a big, long, etherical paragraph that you need to, put up on a slate in front of your house in case you forget it or can't remember where you live. Purpose is where you already live. You're already doing it. You've always been doing it. It's the work to articulate it. That's really what's most important. And by doing those two simple things, going back to all those then moments in your life to really figure out what you were doing in the happiest, most joyful moments where time sort of stood still, or you had those really resonant moments where sometimes you were moved to emotion and didn't even know why. Those are the kinds of things, right, that can really start you on the right path. And then once you answer that question, to turn it around to what is it that people around you were experiencing maybe in those moments? Or for a lot of people, they were alone in those moments. They say, well, I don't know. That's okay. When you are still being that person, when that experience was still true for you, what was it that the world might have been getting? What is it that the environment might have been getting at its most fundamental level? What was its experience? Only possible because you were being you at such a fundamental level. So that's the best part. I've got a request to join the chat here, so I'm going to see Matthew. I'm not sure how to get you on here. I'm going to open the seat. So there we go. I think it's open, Matthew, if you want to join me. Sorry, I'm still figuring this whole gig out, so not exactly sure. I show that there is an open seat, so if you want to join me on the screen. If you have any questions for me about life purpose, or any comments, any great books that you've read that you want to share with anybody, absolutely. Fire a quick tweet. Wow. Let me start that over. Fire a quick tweet and let me know what books that you've read were really helpful. What resources have you found that were really helpful to help you hone in on what your life purpose is and really set you on a clear and passionate path to living your life exponentially. Okay, so it says I should press the call in button. Unfortunately, I don't have a call in button, Daniel. I have a button that says open seat or lock seat, and it's not on lock. It's on open. Oh, there. Now it's on open? I don't know. Is there a call-in button now, Daniel? I show that it's locked now so that nobody will be calling me. So I need to figure out some of this for myself. I am recording this call, by the way, and I will be posting the link for you. I'm also going to be posting a lot of this on my YouTube channel, which is alysonpain.com, ALYSONPAIN. YouTube. That's my YouTube channel. Aly Pain is at your YouTube. If you want to find me on the web, my website is alypain.com, ALYPAIN.com. That's pretty much me on every form of social media that you can imagine. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, the whole thing is Aly Pain. There's only one Aly Pain, I know, because when you have the initials of A Pain, what else do you do with that? You got to be either put it out there, you got to own it. Thank you so much, Sasalta, for your comments too. I really appreciate that. I will be posting this again. So to follow up from this, anything that you've got for great resources that really can take a kind of ethereal, very spiritual, and somewhat frustrating concept and really bring it down for you, I'd love it. Let's put it out there. And let's use the hashtag, I'm going to change the title on this one for next week, X to exponentially you. So Expo you. So hashtag EXPOYOU. Hashtag Expo you is what we're going to use for these blabs, and on any kind of Twitter, Instagram, anything that you want to add to this about life purpose. Today's call was about life purpose and what the heck is that, and finding our why. So I've shared a lot of my context around that, and I hope it's helped some of you to, thank you. Yes, the Salta Expo you, I love it. So I want to know that this has of service. If you have any feedback for me, let me know. And for those of you who want to join me, I'm really sorry I'm not figuring that out very quickly. I will certainly get to it. I show that there's an open seat. So I show that you might, Daniel, at this point have a call-in button, because I show there's an open seat. So if you want to join me on the screen, or if you don't, that's fine. You can always ask me questions. Over on the left side of your screen, there's a little question column. So if you do the, I don't even know what that character's called, but that one. That part with the Q, you can actually ask me a question, and I'll absolutely do everything I can to answer them for you. These exponentially you blabs are going to be a lot about the kind of fundamental conversations and in-depth conversations that I have with a lot of clients through my coaching, and that I also put together through workshops, and I do a lot of keynotes and speaking as well. Of course, harder to go in depth with 500 people in a room, but to share the kind of overarching concepts that I think lead to the life where you are exponentially you, where you're living life passionately and on purpose with clarity and commitment. And so I think next time what we're going to talk about is values, which helps to inform, because purpose, as I said, doesn't have a form. Purpose is like this statement that could be fulfilled millions and millions and millions of different ways. So even if you have your life purpose, it's, you might say, well, that's great, Aly, but now what? Where do I take this? Where do I go with that? So we have to start, think of it as Pandora's box. We open it up, and it's like this endless thing, ethereal at a spiritual level. We unravel, and I don't mean religious, by the way, and I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about us as spiritual beings, a spiritual essence within us. That's it. That's all I mean. That when we start to dig further, we actually can put more and more form and get more and more definitive and concrete with that. So we'll talk about values. Yay! Daniel, I think I gotcha. Did we do it?
I'm not sure. I don't see my camera. You see me?
Yeah, no, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
I'm not sure what's wrong with the camera software. I'm enjoying joining you.
Great.
It's a very, very great time. And the topic you discuss is very powerful, I think.
So what's your experience with life purpose? Knowing your purpose.
It's hard.
It can be challenging.
I'm still continuing on trying for getting this.
Yes.
Many times it's a lot of projects fails for me, but I'm pushing on. I'm trying harder. Not one more time. I think 37 more times.
Well, that's the beauty of us as beings, right? There's so much depth to us as human beings that we can just keep unraveling for a lifetime. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity of a journey. It's not like a burden and a terrible thing. And I love that you're working on life purpose. And I hope it doesn't get harder for you, as in try harder. I hope it gets easier. That there's enough context for you today that it's actually can bring some simplicity to it. Because I think that's one of the biggest things about life purpose in the world of self-development or self-improvement, et cetera, is that I think it's been made so complicated that people are just frustrated. They're just frustrated trying to find it. And I think actually it's very simple.
It is. That's why it is. All the time, hindrance comes at the moment you decide to take it simple.
Yeah.
Or to take it simply.
Right.
But I think God always works on their side.
I agree.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, excellent.
But some manners of how to make it easier by winning people. How could I learn from you on that?
What did you say? Winning people, Daniel?
Yes, winning relationships with people.
Well, that is a rich topic in itself. So I will definitely be covering that in other blabs, but I might not get to that today. So as a certified relationship coach, I work a lot with people about their relationship with themselves, but also the relationship with others. So how about I put that down as a future topic for blab calls? Today we covered purpose. I think next time we're going to cover values. I'm absolutely willing to get into relationships with other people. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. But I mean, for reaching my own purpose, I need to convince others that I'm having a target. I'm having an aim. I walk to it.
Right.
All the time, convincing other people with the very important aim of having. I'm not sure you're going to be agree with what I will say or not. Having a life after our a lifetime here on Earth.
Yes.
Having what we call eternal life. Having this eternal life is very costly, and losing it is about losing everything. I think that's my own purpose in life, but convincing others with that is the issue. I try every time in my life, and it's not easy, especially for some inwardly persons like me. Some people like you with outwardly experience and fabulous people like that. It's easier for them.
So I think that when we live on purpose, Daniel, there's no convincing necessary. When we truly are on our life purpose, we could tell it to people, even if they have an experience, like a felt experience of it, but they wouldn't know how to say it. They wouldn't know how to articulate it. If I were to say it to them, in my experience, most of them have said, oh my gosh, of course, that's absolutely what you're doing. When I'm living most constructively. So when I have to convince people, when I have to sort of sell people on what my purpose is, then I would question if that is actually it. Because inherently, I think at that same spiritual level, they just get it. Hi, Syrup Feeling. Good to see you. I know you said hello down there. So I think that's it, Daniel. When we have to sell people on it, I think we might be a little bit off track.
I mean by convince, just in the relation itself with others. Somehow, if they are not on you with this, with you on the same line, you couldn't reach the point with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how.
That's part of, I guess, in future conversations here on Exponentially You, is that once we understand our purpose and then we start talking about values and personality styles and all of those things, we can talk about who are the people that we attract into our life who are going to be aligned, more aligned. I mean, they're not going to be the same. Heaven's sakes, if we're the same, then one of us isn't necessary. But that are going to be aligned and have the same similar feelings and attractions to different things. Those are the people that we're most likely to be the best relationship with. Because when we are trying to be in relationship with people who fundamentally believe entirely different things than we do, then it's going to constantly feel like, because it's not about right or wrong. We just don't align.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
And that's the power of simplicity.
Yeah, exactly. I think so much of this stuff gets made so enormously complicated. And I'm telling you, I truly love that this is one of my gifts, is doing personal purpose with some of my clients. And I can do this quite well within 60 minutes, 1 hour with a client. We'll get down to a purpose statement. But not only am I fortunate, I think that's one of my gifts, I just think it's been made so darn complicated that people think they have to spend their whole life trying to find their life purpose. In fact, I don't agree with that. I think we can find our life purpose very quickly and very effectively and efficiently, and spend our life seeing how constructively we can live it out, not have to spend our life trying to find it. That's the distinction.
Yeah, that's very hard to try to find it out. I think accomplishing the goal itself is the more important. Is the more what we need to get some strategies of how to achieve it.
Yeah. So I actually talked about those in the beginning of the BLAB. So I'll make sure that you get the link to it.
I'll watch the replay.
Yeah, watch the replay, because I actually went through like the actual steps I go through with my client. And then I gave a little bit of my own experience with it as well, so that we can help to simplify that it doesn't need to be so cumbersome and complicated, that in fact it can be enormously simple and liberating. And then we can go live our purpose more consciously, because we're always living it. We're always living our purpose. We were born doing it. You're doing it now. You're always going to be doing it. When we understand it, when we can articulate it, is when we can create conscious and constructive action around it.
Well.
So I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining me. It is 2 o'clock.
Thank you for the host.
Absolutely. So I am going to end this here. So I want to make sure these stay at 1 hour. If you want to check me out online, I'm at www.alypain.com. That's ALYPAIN.com. This has been Exponentially You. We were talking about life purpose today. I'll make sure that the URL is shared on my social media, and I'm going to look at trying to edit this down and maybe post some of it on my YouTube channel. Facebook page is Aly Pain Professional, and I hope to see everybody there. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody, for coming to watch. We'll see you next week. I'll be up. Ooh, when am I going to be up? I should say that right now, shouldn't I? Hang on. Next week, it's going to be Thursday morning. Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific. Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. That is on Thursday, March 10th. So mark your calendars. Thursday, March 10th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there on Exponential You. We'll be talking about values. Bye.